Well, fine. Preparing to live stream the meeting. Stand by. Ooh, look at that. I've never done this before, so this is the first time through Zoom. It's pretty cool. There you go. Look at that. Boom.
The delay.
Mute that. There we go. That's better. You're not muted, just the TV's muted. Okay, Michaela's here to, I'm not going to show her very often. So, Michaela, you can hear us, right?
Yep. I'm just keeping my camera off to be not distracting. I'll throw it on when it's my turn.
Oh yeah, I muted you. Never mind. 1 second. Say it again.
Yes, I can hear you.
Oh,
Yes, I can hear you.
She has to mute herself.
Yeah. Okay, Michaela, do it again, please.
Yes, I can hear you.
What's happening? I can't hear her.
Do we have Taylor Swift?
Okay. Say something, Michaela.
Hello, it's me.
Yeah, it's okay. I don't have any sound. So hang on a second.
Fire wreck. Yeah. That's your car.
Same system, microphone.
Everything's frozen.
Know that. That shit's fine.
It's not frozen on my computer screen.
Frozen up there. It's frozen.
I'm just turning off. I'm here.
Nope. Stand by 1 second. Still can't hear you. Same system. What do you think?
Lost.
Oh, you're not. That's cool. Thank you, Michaela. You might just type stuff in the chat and then let me get this figured out.
I think it's just having trouble connecting with Chromecast. I don't think it's like the streaming. I think it's just Chromecast is not connected very well.
Okay, do we need the TV for any reason? Probably not. That's really delayed.
Yeah. That's on yours. So.
Oh, yeah, she was talking.
People watching the live stream are gonna be so confused.
Not really. They're seeing.
Which is muted, which is delayed.
Yes, consider.
Very slowly catching up.
Okay.
Oh gosh.
Are we done with waiting for technology or?
Okay. Go ahead. Go ahead, David. You can go with this agenda.
All right, why don't we just move ahead with the routine things, please? I looked at the agenda at home and I saw no issues with it. It's pretty straightforward. Can I have a motion to approve the agenda as written, please? I approve the agenda. Motion one. Second?
I can't, I was a guest.
You're still a guest?
No, tonight I'm active, but
He
last,
was a guest.
at that meeting, I was a guest, so I can't.
Is that
actually,
right? Okay.
you can't really make the motion either because you,
I wasn't there
just for
for
the
the-
agenda. For
Oh, the
you
agenda,
guys can.
okay, second.
Yeah. So,
Thank you.
all in favor of approving the agenda as written?
Approved.
Aye, okay, good, and minutes I can understand.
Yeah.
That's what John's trying
Oh,
to
thank you.
Jesus.
Yes.
Okay.
So I think it's down to you and me. You wanna make a motion to approve the minutes, please?
I move that we approve the minutes
And I'm
as
gonna-
written.
And I'm gonna go into schizophrenic mode and say I'm not the chair anymore. And I second it, all in favor? Aye,
Aye.
great, that's good. Got that. There are no members of the public here. And none online, at least, that have made themselves known. So why don't we move on to old business? Master plan progress report.
So last time Michaela and Stu talked about the master plan roadmap that they kind of started to kind of iron it out. So that way, like myself and Thomas and Michaela, so we could break it down into like more like stepping stone type
Yeah.
stuff. For my end, I've been working on trying to work out programs and, things like that, because we've had a couple programs run the last couple of years that if you look at a couple things like how much money they're making and things like that, they might not or should not be running, at least the way they are. So it's kind of taking a step back and determining if that's possible, but I can't just be like, oh yeah, we're not gonna run anymore because of this. So I'm coming up with like kind of a checklist or a system that, is kind of like a grading rubric, like, does it meet this? Does it do this? Does it do this? So that way I can, have a policy and a way to back up. Yes, this program should keep running because of these things. No, it shouldn't keep running because of these things. So I've been working on that. And then trying to set up a team council meeting here in the next couple weeks, and that's about it for my part of the master plan stuff.
As your teams, 3 teams, come up with these criteria or rubrics, might be interesting for the board to take a look at them,
Yeah.
just to know kind of what your metrics are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've just kind of, it's real rough draft right now, but one of them is about like growth. So is it growing in popularity? So are we getting more teams or more participation? Is it, making, more money, those sorts of things. And then there's other rubrics like, or things I've thrown in there, whether they'll stay or not, but that might be something that I bring, like when I finalize this rough draft, I bring and you guys say, yeah, I like that, no, I don't like that, and I can go back and edit it and keep going from there. So I like that.
Yeah, we'd like to see them, I think.
Yeah.
On the tracking the master plan, is there an Excel doc for that?
Yeah, I think Michaela shared that, yeah. So there's like an Excel doc,
Yeah.
and then it's in there, it says what year, it's like year 2 of it.
Google Doc.
Yeah.
Can we get
Google
the-
Sheet.
Can we get the link, I guess? Is that something we can access and just review?
Okay,
Okay, Michaela, do you wanna try one more time? I disconnected the TV, hoping that's gonna work, maybe not, it's still super delayed.
How's this?
So, no, I can hear you, but we're getting a lot of feedback, so never mind. It's alright, sorry. Okay, keep going. That must be the Zoom YouTube delay.
Riverside, should we, is that it for master plan progress then? Any
Michaela has some
else?
stuff, but I'll just put it in the minutes, so you guys can review it, later that they've been talking about, so, yeah, that's fine.
Okay, is this an extension of what you talked about last time,
Sort of, just
Yeah.
with some sort of updates like Chris just did.
okay. Riverside Playground Report, there's been a fair amount of activity on that front. Why don't you bring us up to date on the flyer and progress in the last meeting, which I could not be at,
Sure.
because I was skiing.
Yeah, so out of the last meeting, so we're in the final push, right, cause the deadline's April 1st for the grant application. So we need all the match either pending or funded by then, commitments made or funded. We've got a lot of commitments made and lots of funding as well. There's about $85,000 plus in cash match so far. The city manager approved 75,000 of transient room tax dollars to be added to that. So 75 plus 85. And then, what is that? 715.
160.
See, math guy, this guy. It's his dad's fault. I learned that. 150 is what you said?
160.
160, so leaving us $100,000 shy of our matching goal. There's still, the committee is hitting the pavement with that and doing all the things. That also doesn't include any grant applications. Working on Wild Horse right now, along with I turned in the Avista Foundation proposal for 10,000. Wild Horse will be 20. Another 10 from Idaho Power. Actually, no, I'm gonna ask them for more. Based on the fact they might, destroy our view shed or in some people's opinions, affect our view. So that's happening. So all those grants and other things will be rolled into that total. And hopefully we can get close. If we're not close to that, One of our agenda items tonight is budget, so we're gonna start brainstorming on budget tonight, which you may choose to say whatever that committee short for match. We propose that the general fund funds that, I know what was it, 15 that we put in last year? So if it's 15, 20, 30, whatever we feel like that number is, we're not gonna make that decision tonight. Tonight, we're just gonna talk about ideas. But that might be another option to pursue. So we'll meet that match requirement no matter what. I believe we're gonna get close anyway without any other support and with the grants that I'm writing to go with it. We're gonna be really, really close.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, I was just, if we commit to it, you know, to bring it up to the 250 or whatever, and then we keep getting grants that we can offset.
Yeah, we could just do it up to, you
Okay,
know, the
so we could just
commission
still,
recommends
Yeah.
up to blank, so we would, so the budget process doesn't quite line up with the timeline of the grant deadline.
Mhm.
So the budget process continues on after the deadline a little, so our requested will be in, I think it's after our next meeting, March 15th-ish. So that's why I wanna have that real discussion next month, but, feed you guys a little bit of information, food for thought now.
So when you say general fund, you're talking about the city's general fund. Is that gonna affect next year's Parks and Rec budget then?
Yeah, it's all part of the main package. We either choose to do, it's one pie, so if you take more out of the pie for a playground, you're gonna need, somebody's gonna suffer that, whether it's, parks maintenance, I guess would be the related category, right? So if maybe instead of, I think we normally request around 40,000 for facility maintenance or repair, it might go down to 10, or it might not go to 10, might go to 30. And then we might supplement that 10 with an extra ask on top for just additional funding. The city manager has not mandated that we request the same amount as we had this year. I haven't heard that from him, so the budget's still fluid and the request could be as well.
Okay. All right. Any questions about the playground? All right, so why don't we move on to just that topic then, budget?
Yeah, so I'm just trying to get a feel for, first I was gonna share with you some of the items that staff have been talking about. I'll get more definite from them soon, but in no particular order, we need to get a recreation van vehicle to replace the 1980 4.5 bus that we bought surplus years ago. So what you need, Dave? Foot pen, got it? Okay. So recreation bus or van would provide two more dependable vehicles. As you know, the recreation programs have been in high demand since post-COVID. I mean, post-COVID, not since post-COVID. There's been lots of talk about, when Chris can share a little bit about summer plans, about how we can reorganize into kind of different categories. I'll leave him to talk about that, but we have transportation needs. So that's, we also need a boiler at the pool. We have, I don't remember, we have a certain number of dollars set aside for that over the last few years. And I'm talking about an HVAC boiler, not a boiler that will heat the water, but a boiler that will heat the air. It's original to the building, which is 20 plus years old. So it's needs, before it dies, we need to replace it, because without HVAC, we can't be open. So that could be catastrophic, and if it broke, we'd be shut down for don't know how long. So that's in the plan this year. And Michaela, feel free to type or text Chris or in the chat if I'm saying anything wrong. Let's see, the parks maintenance crew needs to replace an old John Deere tractor that we use for a small backhoe. They're talking about changing out one of the mowers to one that's lower maintenance. And these are all just ideas right now. I haven't vetted them or approved or denied any of them. A chipper for wood for branches. We don't own one. We have challenges with storm damage, especially in the last couple of years, with with piles of tree branches at May Lane and piles of chips too, but tree branches are really hard to manage. It's a lot easier to cut the branch, put it through the chipper, rather than cut the branch, pile it with another branch, and then they get tangled, etc. It takes staff a lot longer. So we're talking about some sort of semi-portable chipper that could be towed behind a truck. I think that's, can you think, have you heard anything else? Michaela, type in the
You got it
chat.
right.
Anything else I forgot, Michaela, that you can remember? Type it to Chris or type it in the chat. Okay. So with all those needs, those are the kinds of things that those capital improvement needs would probably be up for debate if we chose playground money. If we have $100,000 in capital improvement needs and we have an up to amount of whatever, that would be taken out of capital improvement needs because operation dollars, we don't want to cut any programs or anything like that. Well, I mean, maybe you do. I guess I could leave that up to you. We as staff wouldn't recommend that, and city council isn't, doesn't want to cut programs or staff. So that's just sort of the brainstorm I wanted to have with that information. Start thinking about what those priorities might be. We will have operational dollars side. You'll see the entire budget next month. And it will come out ahead of time so you can digest it a little bit, what we're moving around. Sometimes staff will move around different line items, but the bottom line will stay very similar. And then next month, we can talk about exactly what you guys want to do to make a commitment for that playground or not. And we'll also know a lot more from the committee, how much money they've raised.
For this rec van vehicle, what size are you thinking about?
Well,
We're thinking more like a 15 passenger, because if we go any bigger than that, you have to have a commercial license. And because most of the people that would be driving it would be myself or like my rec staff that are 18 years of age and have a driver's license. So if that were a thing, then they would also have to have a commercial driver's license, which is just one more thing that would make hiring a little bit more difficult.
You gotta have a boxed frame.
Yeah.
And then is that just driven within the county here? For the
Yeah,
park?
we mainly like the van, we have the 12 passenger van and the bus, that small bus we have used for like summer camps to take them places like out to the Lad Marsh for like hiking stuff, or up
Gotcha.
to Mira and things like that. So it'd be more local, but then we also do, like, we did a Seattle Mariners trip last summer, and if I would have had 3 more seats available, I'm sure I would have sold 3 more tickets. So that could be used for that as well. So.
Thank you.
Okay, so I just want to make sure I'm clear on the structure of what we're deciding about. So we've got Riverside Park and may or may not make its goal. If there's a shortfall, we're talking about making decisions about the 2024 capital improvements fund being shorted by whatever amount we decide to give to Riverside Park. And we're going to decide how that shortfall would be distributed. And we're thinking in terms of, it's unclear, but probably 30,000 or less. If we're 100,000 short now, we can count on getting 70, I think.
There's $60,000 open.
Yes,
After he ran through the 3 grants that might come in.
right,
So
right.
it's about $60,000 in grant applications. So that
And-
is around up to 40 potentially.
But we set aside 15, and if you take the 15 that we would ask. The,
15's already in that number.
yeah,
So
oh, is
if
it,
you- if
should
you-
it just
that
be
was from
15?
That was from this budget cycle, we're talking about next.
Yes, but we're gonna ask
So-
for another 15, I think every year.
Or would that,
Well-
that's what you guys decided last
Yeah.
year, yes. It's up, it could change every year, but yes, that was the plan, because we have to do Sunny Hills, we have to do, you know, other things in the master plan.
Yeah.
So 15 is already budgeted.
No, 15's, yes, 15 is budgeted and
Yes.
allocated to that amount I already told you, so it's
Yes.
already in that total.
Right.
Yeah.
So we, again, I think that if there is a shortfall, it's a likely number is gonna be in the $20,000-$30,000 range.
Yeah.
That's not an unreasonable
Yeah.
thing to think, way to think about it.
And that could be, if it's in that range, that could just be us requesting it and still maintaining our capital improvement ask. Cause it wouldn't be that big of a hit, if that makes sense.
Okay, sounds manageable, one way or the other. Let's hope we don't have to do it.
Yeah, I mean, Kimmy's working really hard on it. We'll see. Lots of folks have pledged. The other thing that's not in there, they're working on some in-kind contributions. I know that Becker's gonna do the full demo and disposal. That's worth about 15,000. And then that's not in that number, and it will be in the grant application, but it's also not in the main budget, right? Because the budget is for the playground and the installation, doesn't include the removal and demolition. So that's the $650,000 project changes to a $665,000 project, right? Makes sense. So, and then the other thing, OTEC's gonna drill the holes for the new footings. They're working on other contractors to do concrete work and other things.
But doesn't that count towards our in-kind?
That would count.
Yeah,
So it's not just cash.
it's,
Should go to the dump because the demolition, big part of the demolition
Yeah.
cost is what the dump charges, having just torn down a burned house.
Yeah.
I mean,
Expensive.
this is just a 1,400 square foot house and that was 10 grand plus.
Yeah. Maybe.
So 14 is
Should've
low for a structure like Riverside.
Yeah. And they've got all the equipment, which is great.
Right, okay, if there's nothing else on the budget and the interplay with,
Thanks, Sean.
yeah, I'm gonna have to,
Good
I'm gonna
time,
go to Zoom. Sorry, I have to go pick up the kids.
It's kind of staff reports now,
Yeah.
and we'll talk more
I
about
read
that
the-
a little bit.
Yeah.
thanks for coming, John.
I'll put your comments in the staff, in the commissioner comments, John, just so we
Okay.
record it.
Okay, thanks.
Bye-bye. Okay, staff reports,
Yeah, I sent them out. I'm not gonna make Michaela go through hers because it won't work. So I will read some highlights once I get back to it. So the therapy stairs are installed. If you haven't been there, they're massive and they have all the traction and all the right grade for seniors and for accessibility or for people with mobility challenges. Those were paid for by the hospital, so that was a big project.
and those are going into the main pool, not into the warm pool,
No, they're in the warm pool.
in the warm pool.
The old set were, I don't know, maybe 5 or 6 feet, and the new set's like 10 feet, like the, you
Great.
know.
Mhm.
Let's see, they've been busy with school district lessons, the 3rd and 4th graders, which means that post-COVID, everybody's caught up on lessons. So next year will just be 3rd graders like it used to be, because since the 3rd graders missed during COVID, and the 4th graders, then she did 5th graders last year, the year before maybe, and then 4th graders this year and last year, and 3rd graders this year, and then now we're back to being caught up. And like I said, Michaela, correct me if I'm wrong, but essentially that's the deal, back to 3rd grade next year. And the last thing she had was, the high school swim is off to districts. They'll do,
Okay, it
Well,
says check the chat.
oh, okay. Check the chat, 1 second, thank you. All right. Oh, yes, excellent. Michaela's also helping the high school with their youth theater program. They're doing a new spring play. They used to do the fall one musical, and that's great. The spring one is something that they haven't done, or maybe they have, but part of Michaela's, part of the master plan, of course, is youth and teen programs. That happens to be Michaela's background. So she is pretty excited about helping the high school with that. Okay, and then she just says the greatest thing about those stairs is that the rails come up onto the deck. So you can stabilize yourself on the deck before you enter the stairs, before it was from the deck into the water, into the stairs. Yeah, keep typing, I'm reading now if you want. Okay. I think that's it for pool. Go ahead, Chris.
Are there any questions about the rec report?
No, I read the pool part. I didn't see anything from you,
Oh, you didn't?
but
I think it was in there. But it's okay.
that may have just been me.
Okay, well, I can just go over it, I just wasn't sure. So our after school program still chugging along just fine, 31, 32 kids average. OHSU staff were like, finally, like the agreement's done, so I've been working with the coordinators and stuff, working on small details, like how many students can we have, and like just working out minor details. Their plan is to start spring term, so that'd be April 1st for them. So that's exciting. Youth basketball is going. I was able to get a ref for the little kids, the second and third graders. She's a volleyball player at EOU and has experience reffing AAU basketball games, stuff like that. So that was nice because the first week I just had a ref only for the older kids, not for the younger kids. Not that the younger kids really need a ref, but it's nice to give the coaches just focus on their kids on the bench and coaching and have someone more or less keep the flow of the game going. That's what she's kind of doing. We did have probably this is only second time around youth basketball, but all sports total. This is the first time I was genuinely worried about not getting a coach for a team or two. And to the point where I had to ask Michaela, like, what do I do? Like, I have not had anyone step up, and we're past meet your coach day, and I'm really worried I'm not going to find coaches. Eventually a couple parents did step up, which has led me to trying to find other ways. And so I've communicated with some people at EOU because I think it's awesome and easy opportunity for student athletes to get easy volunteer hours to coach, and a good way for them to just kind of give back, whether it's a sports program uses it as like community outreach for them and stuff. So I'm trying to work on that a little bit. Adult basketball is still going really good. All the games are really competitive and really fun. The only thing that I've noticed the last couple of weeks is it'd be nice to have a second ref. Having one ref for adult basketball leaves a lot of things up in the air, but thankfully the way it's organized, there hasn't been issues like I would expect. The other thing is gym. Right now we use Riveria gym and it's great. They've done a lot of work in there and the floor is really nice and they've done a lot of stuff and it's great. Size wise for adults, it's pretty tiny. So my goal moving forward with that is try to get us into a bigger gym space. I think next year with Wildcat Center opening up. I was just talking with the PE teacher at Central today and he was like, yeah, we'll probably open up our gym quite a bit more with the Wildcat Center. So, and that's a full-size gym, so I might look and use that. Plus, our deal with the school district, we don't pay for those spaces, so that would only improve revenue for adult basketball or youth basketball since we wouldn't be paying a fee to use Riveria. Women's volleyball's almost over. Have had a lot of scheduling issues with women's volleyball, partly due to games and gym space. We use Willow, but unfortunately with some of the weather, we have lots of teams that have majority of their players that travel from Baker, so we've had to cancel some games because of weather. We've had to cancel games because of staff. And so then trying to reschedule those in the middle of, January and February is difficult because Willow's booked up by everything else. So that's something that's kind of been frustrating and difficult, which again, Wildcat Center will probably help with that quite a bit. The next thing is we've used EOU for our women's volleyball like end of season tournament for the last 10 years. And this year, for some reason, we are unable to. So they gave me a reason why we couldn't use it the week after. They didn't give me a reason why we couldn't use it the day I asked for it. So I asked for it on a Monday, which is February 26th. Which I knew would work I assumed would work because their conference basketball tournaments for the women don't start till Tuesday and then the men don't start till Wednesday. So my assumption was no one was using that day. And that's how we did it last year. We got in there before the tournament started. This year, that date's unavailable. And then the next week, they've brought back intramural basketball for the first time in 5 years, I think they said, because of COVID. And so the intramural basketball programs have both gyms all that week. So that was understandable. So I'm working on whether we push the women's volleyball season back, like it starts later or it starts earlier. So that way we don't have to worry about that, because a lot of the people that participate in our women's volleyball have been doing it the whole time it's been at UU, and we're a little disappointed, but when I explained to them, they were pretty understanding. And then last thing, Pee Wee soccer registration opened Monday, and like all our Pee Wee programs, I changed it from just preschool and kinder to preschool, kinder, first grade. So all our youth programs, that's how Pee Wee's done now. And in my thing, it says in 24 hours, we had enough registrations for 3 teams as of today. So it's been open 4 days. We have enough registrations for 5 teams already.
Wow.
So, yeah, it's growing quite a bit. And so that's pretty cool. That registration closes March 25th, and then the season runs April 6th to May 4th. So.
Great work, great work.
Where are the Pee Wee games going to be held?
They're always held at Benton Park,
Which
and
is-
over by Revere, it used to be known as Pumpkin Park,
Got it.
the big
got it.
pumpkin.
Yep.
So we do 2 fields over there.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Stu?
Chris Austin, our new parks lead, has been here a few weeks now, doing a great job. Working with the city attorney to finalize the fencing addendums. I got the final one, I think, done. So there's 3 property owners along that extension of the greenway. We're building a fence according to the property owner's sale agreement back in 2011. So we're gonna build a 6-foot fence chain link to match the other one that's there to go eastward and to the end of our extension. So that's getting there, and then I can get a fence screw out. And we already talked about the grants for the Riverside project that I'm working on.
Okay. Then assuming that there are no commissioner volunteer hours to report, and we have a form which has to be filled out for that if that comes up again. Pending business, not much, nothing.
Honey.
Commissioner comments.
I recorded John's something like this, that you'd like to see pavers installed at the entrance to the dog park, up to and including the water spigot.
Just
No,
because it's a
that-
mud pit right now.
Yeah, and I'll get that measured and see if we have enough pavers and all that jazz for next month, and then we'll see if we can put our heads together on recruiting some people or somebody.
I'd like to comment on the kind of spurt of activity that's going on in Mira with regard to the IGO entrance to Mira. They're at least a third of the way into having funding and working on making that an actual loop back. It's always been either out and back or a very difficult zigzaggy trek to get over to the Owsley Canyon trailhead. And so they're working on turning that into a mountain bikeable, equestrian bike and pedestrian loop to come back there. So that's a nice thing, I think.
Will it go to the Owsley Canyon, you said, and it will loop?
No,
It'll just be,
there'll be a shorter loop back than that. I thought that was really great, because it's a bit of a frustrating thing to start there, and you get to Owsley eventually, but if you don't want to retrace your steps to get your vehicle, you're kind of screwed, right?
right.
Yeah. So that's a good thing. That's Bart Barlow, just kind of, and 2 other people are doing spearheading that.
It's great.
Yeah. That's my only comment. Anything else from anybody? If not.